I'm about to share with you the exact 5-step process that I used when I first started my online coaching business to go from $0 to $20,000 a month within the first year of me starting my online coaching business. And it's the same process we've used now with dozens of other coaches too. Below or to the side somewhere, you'll see a screenshot of just a row of people on my website who hit their first 20K months with us. And then if you keep scrolling through the website, you'll see more testimonials, case studies with some coaches hitting 100K a month plus, okay, which is more than that 7-figure run rate. So if you watch this video until the end, you'll have a complete roadmap. There'll be no fluff in here, no theory. This is just exactly what I would do step by step to get your first 20K month as an online coach. Okay. Now, for me to do this, I am going to be on my iPad. So I'll have my iPad pulled up next to me and I'll be talking straight to you. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do to make a business or make any money at all is we have to learn a skill. Okay. We have to learn a skill. And man, you could learn so many skills, but what is something that you're excited about? What is something that you're passionate about? Because whatever the skill is that you're learning, you've got to share about this. We're going to talk about this in a later step, but we've got to be on social media. We got to be talking about this. We have to keep this energy high. If we're learning a skill, some people learn like how to leverage AI to grow a business, or they learn how to start a SSMA business, which is just an agency to run to get more clients or get clients, help them with their advertising because it makes them money. But if they don't like it and they're not passionate by it, it doesn't matter because you aren't going to be able to do that long term. You're not going to, the people won't feel that on the other side. So what is something that you're passionate about that people will pay you money for? Okay. So I'm going to also say with this skill, it needs to be something that already exists. Okay. So I'm going to say an existing marketplace. So especially for your first business, you don't need to be the next Uber, the next Lyft, the next Apple. No, instead, if there's already a market for something, that means people are actually spending money on it. So for your first business or for a coaching business, do not find a skill that is made up. Don't do that. Pick something that's already popular. All right. So for instance, we see a lot of this with fitness coaching, right? Fitness, people spend money on their health, right? They spend money on the big 3 categories: health, wealth, and relationships. Okay. So I'll just put that down here: health, wealth, and then relationships. Okay, those are the big 3 categories that you've got with coaching, right? Fitness, right? Health can be broken down into fitness. It can also be hormones, right? It can also be nutrition, right? There's so many more of these subsectors, but what I'm trying to get you to see here is that we want to find a existing marketplace, all right? If no one's advertising what you do, you probably shouldn't do it for your first business. All right. Wealth, if we kind of come down here and just keep branching this out, wealth could be business coaching. Okay. Business coaching. It could be a subsect inside of that, which would be like marketing. And then inside of marketing, there's even more, right? We've got email marketing. We've got YouTube. We've got IG. We've got branding, right? We've got ads. There's so many different categories that you can just break down in here. Another aspect of wealth would be investing, or even like tax strategy. Or I've got some friends who actually have credit card programs to teach people how to use credit cards, right? Credit cards. And that's a skill within itself, right? So all of these are helping people make more money. Honestly, these are, if you guys are just getting started, some of the easiest ones, as long as you have the skill to sell, because you put $1,000 in and they expect some sort of ROI back, right? So there should be, it should be easy to sell if you can prove there's an ROI or guarantee an ROI for your first couple clients. And then relationships. All right, we'll come down here to relationships. We're going to cut through here. Relationships is going to be more of the life coaching, right? Life coaching, like even spirituality, it can be popular. Now, what else we got in here? Life coaching, honestly, any like personal development kind of fits in this category. But I will tell you, this is the hardest one if you're just getting started, unless you have an audience already, right? So typically, if I'm going to start off, I also feel the most comfortable in my skill set to do one of these or one of these, right? I'm also a physical therapist, so I have a lot of experience in fitness, hormones. Again, pain would also be included in here. And then wealth, this is what I currently invest most of my time in learning. I was like business, marketing, investing. This is where my current interests lie. Earlier in my life, when I first started coaching, most of my interests were in here. And then you evolve, and you don't have, there's also an important little lesson here is as you evolve as a person, you might jump in different categories. You might have a coaching business that's all around health. And then 5 years later, you're like, man, I really love investing. I'm going to talk more about that. Man, this stuff's great. But as I've grown more and more with my relationship with my wife, I want to talk more about this. And you're going to naturally attract, people who vibe with what you're interested in too. So just know that, all right? But the first thing is we got to learn a skill. Okay, we got to learn a skill, and we need to have it and be one of these 3 categories. All right. Now, step 2, once we've got a skill, the next thing we need to do is have a done for you offer. Okay. And when I say done for you, some of you guys might be like, hey, I'm a fitness coach. How am I supposed to do it for them? Or, even if you're a gut health coach or whatever, you can't necessarily, go to their house, do their blood work, do the blood draws, and do all that. You can't do all of it. I get that. Okay. But what I'm trying to get at here is do as much as possible. All right. So do as much as possible. Okay. Do as much as possible. Now, if you're doing any type of coaching, this should be all one-on-one. Okay. One-on-one. And then honestly, I would even do weekly calls. Okay. Weekly calls or in-person meetings, doesn't matter, or meetings, because the main key factor, what we're doing here in the done for you offers is proving it works, right? Prove it works. And I'll tell you right now, you will not be able to do that with just launching a group offer or having something that's low ticket or anything like that. I mean, honestly, if you are a health and fitness coach, right? I know a lot of my audience is, because that's my background. You should probably train people in person before you go online. Okay. So I might even I'll put it in here. Prove it works. And then in person, for a lot of people, in person before online. And that might make some people upset, but you need to prove that you can actually get the result. And especially if you're doing anything with movement, PT, or strength and conditioning, you need to learn how to analyze somebody's movement. All right, I'm telling you, don't go online and start doing meal plans and stuff like that. If you've never actually been in a gym and seen somebody move a barbell around, right? Just don't do that, right? I don't think that's a smart move. I did that. I worked a ton in person as I was getting into this. And then the same thing happened for my marketing. So what I'm doing now with business coaching, marketing, consulting, man, my first coaching offer, my first business that I scaled a low ticket business, exited that business. And then as I transitioned, I was like, I want to start teaching other health and fitness coaches and then eventually coaches on how to grow businesses. I like marketing. I like systems. I needed to first prove that I could do that one-on-one before I made a group coaching program or a productized offer, right? So stop. I'm just going to put this in here. Stop thinking about this sexy word here, scaling when you're getting started, right? Who cares? It should not be scalable. When you're doing done for you, it's not scalable. But guess what? You need to prove that it works, and you need case studies, okay? Case studies. The case studies are going to prove, hey, I've actually worked with someone exactly like you, okay? They started here and they ended up here in 6 months. Here are some of the roadblocks they came across. So I'm already expecting that you might hit those too, and I've already got a plan for what happens when you hit there, right? That's huge, okay? So do this first. And part of this too, when you are getting started, do as much as possible. And then honestly, pricing doesn't matter, okay? Pricing doesn't matter. I'm saying that to start. Pricing doesn't matter. Really, the goal is skill development, okay? Skill development. You've got to become a really good coach first, or provide a really good service first before you think about this sexy word up here, which is scaling. You have no business scaling something if you don't have the skill. You just don't, okay? So first, you learn the skill, right? Then the second thing you start doing is you start getting experience, all right? With this done for you offer here, we want a minimum of 5 to 20 clients. Okay, 5 to 20 clients before we jump into a more scalable offer, before scalable. And I'm going to talk about that in a future step here. Okay, we got to get experience. All right, number 3. Once we're doing that, so we've got a skill set, and we now are doing some done for you or very high touch one-on-one stuff. The next thing we're going to start doing is posting content. Okay, posting content. And I see a lot of people who do this out of order. They start posting content first before they have an offer, before they have a skill set. And it's kind of silly because your content's just going to change as you get more skill and more experience. And a lot of times your coaching sessions you have will influence the content you create. So I think it's silly when people start posting and all that stuff before they start taking clients on, because most of your clients you do have with this first initial done for you offer are going to be friends and family. Guys, I didn't even have, I may have had a social media, but I was just posting social media stuff. Hey, here's life updates. When I first started my online coaching business, and that was in health and fitness, because I had people in my network, friends, family, just people in my network who needed my help. So I didn't need to post content to get my first 5 or 10 clients, and you don't either. I hope that helps. You don't need to post content to get your first 5 or 10 clients. You really don't even need to post content to make 10K a month online. Like, I'm serious. You could probably do a lot less than you think to make $10,000 a month online. You do need to have a network of people who are actually looking for that service though, okay? But if we want to get to 20K months, which is what this video is all about, then yeah, we need to get to post content because, like I said before, we can get to about 10K a month with no content. And you might be hearing that and be like, Matt, you're full of crap. But I'm not, right? Like, just from based off of numbers, right? If you charge $500 a month, right? You only need 20 people, right? 20 people to make $10,000 a month. I guarantee you, if you are somewhat social, not even that social, but if you're somewhat social, you can probably find 20 people in your network. People that you went to college with, high school with, people who are in your community. If you're not part of a community, go join a community. People in your workplace who need help with this, okay? Or, if $500 seems too much, you can always do around $350 a month, and that's going to be around 30 to 35 people, okay? I guarantee you can do this. Okay. Now, for some of you, it might be hard, but I think most of you guys can do that. So to get to 20K a month, right, we need to start finding people who don't know, like, and trust us, right? So to get to 20K a month, we need to start a brand, okay? Start brand building. And what this will help with is, like, let's say that you are serving, your friends, your family up here. And they're like, oh man, Sam is doing such a good job with my fitness, or he's really helping me, grow my business to here. And they're like, oh, awesome. Do you have any details of his stuff, of like what he does? How can I learn from him? And if you don't have a social media account, how are they going to refer you? They can't, right? So then you're kind of stuck. So that's when we need to start building a brand so we can start sharing what we do with people and people can share our stuff. And the 2 platforms that I'm a huge fan of are IG and YouTube to start. All right. IG, you can swap this out with Facebook, if you want. Like, I know some demographics are more on Facebook. If you're 55 plus, you're probably going to be on Facebook, right? If you're under 55, you're probably going to be primarily on Instagram. But either of those platforms can be on here. Honestly, I'll even put one more sub in here. Could be LinkedIn. I've got some friends, clients and stuff that just have LinkedIn and YouTube and does really well. Again, I personally like Instagram and Facebook just because of the messenger feature. All right. But we're going to have one, essentially, just like, let's kind of bring this over here, one short form and one long form. Now, the YouTube is my favorite. You could say, you could also argue for podcasts on here for sure. I know people who crush it with podcasts. I personally think YouTube is far superior than podcasts, and that's because it is searchable. Okay. So it's searchable, which is huge. Right? Searchable. I don't know if I spelled it right, but searchable. So like searchable. And then also ChatGPT will often recommend it. I've had clients who have, book calls, not necessarily clients yet, that have came from YouTube. And then when I asked where they came from, they're like, oh, ChatGPT gave me one of your videos. It's like, that's cool. ChatGPT, as far as I know, is not giving out podcasts recommendations just yet. If it is, let me know. But I like YouTube again because it's searchable. And if you make a really good video with good packaging, which is like the thumbnail and a headline that's a little bit clickbaity, okay, you will start getting clicks and you'll start getting traffic for a very, very long time. Where Instagram and the short form content over here, right? The short form content over here is going to be very short term, right? Like most of this content dies within like a day or two, okay? Where YouTube, I think the half-life of a YouTube video is around like 9 days. Don't quote me on that, but it's significantly longer. And that's like, when I say 9 days, that's like what shows up on the Explore feed, right? Because when you make a post, it'll come up in the Explore feed, which is similar to like Instagram when you're scrolling on your feed. And then also there's a searchability feature of it too, to where someone types in like this video here, how to make $20,000 a month online. If the thumbnail is good and we have previous history from other people who view the video, it'll pop up higher in the feed. So I'm a huge fan of YouTube. Also, if people are already on a social platform and they're watching something and it's very visual, it's a lot easier to get them to go from there to a YouTube video, right? Than it would be to get them to go to a podcast where there's no visual component at all. So I love YouTube. Also, if you are already creating short form content inside of these categories here, you can also upload them as YouTube shorts. And in the shorts feature, when you post a short, you can actually link a longer form video right there. So for instance, I have one video I posted last week as a short of here's how to make a landing page in 2025. And then attached to that was, here is a longer form video that goes through this in more detail. So somebody might have watched a minute of it. They're like, oh, this was really good. And then they can click the other one to go watch the longer form video. And like for that video in particular, we had about 1,000 to 1,500 views of the short form video. So I know there's people out of that 1,000 to 1,500 people that watched that one video that clicked that button and then watched the longer form video. And hopefully they subscribed, and hopefully eventually, if they get enough value and they're the right avatar, they'll book a call. Okay. But this is the plan, right? So one short form and one long form, and then short form, right? Short form, which is again, I like Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We want to post 3 to 5 times per week. Okay. And long form, right? Long form, we want to do 1 time per week. Okay. And the key with all of these, as always, is this should just be for your ideal client content. Okay. Only, because you can make, viral content, really top of funnel stuff and get a bunch of views. But if it's not for your ideal client, they're not going to buy. And we want only people who will buy. So I just create content for my ideal clients and stuff that I know that my clients will find useful. And I don't worry about the rest of the stuff. And then for me to do this, just to give you guys some heads up, I also have a full team that helps out with this and everything, but I do Tuesday as a half day. Okay. Half day to record. Okay. To record all content and ads actually. So I'll do ads too, plus ads. And then sometimes if I need more, I might mark off another part of a day, but I'm sharing this because this is really important. And a lot of people miss this. And what they're missing here is that if you want to have an online coaching business that, again, does $20,000 a month plus, we need to be creating content. We need to show up online. And if you hate creating content, do not get started with this, okay? Or don't try to scale to 20K months. Just focus on 10K months, building relationships in communities, going to networking events, being part of community. You can do 10K a month, simple like that. You might even be able to do 20K a month, honestly. I'm telling you. But if you really want to scale to 20K a month minimum, right? Or 50 or 100K a month, you've got to like content. If you hate content, don't do this. I'm telling you. I've had so many people sign up for my program or to work with us in the past. They're super excited. Then it comes time to creating content and they don't want to do it. And they're like, I hate creating content. I hate this. I hate this. And I'm just straight up being like, dude, you probably shouldn't be an online coach. All right. You should probably be someone's assistant coach. You like coaching. You don't actually like content creation. If you want to grow a business online, the only way you're going to do this is by content, right? And don't be sold. Okay, I teach ads, right? I teach ads. There are people who say, hey, you can grow a business without creating content. I think that's misleading. I think it's very misleading. Reason for that is even if you're running ads, you still have to create content, right? Like those are content. Those are reels. Those are like, little advertisements to get you to watch the longer thing or go somewhere else. And if someone tells you, we can make them all text-based and all offer-driven, that doesn't work as well. Okay. It might work if you're a local big brick and mortar business, but if you're an online coach or an online service provider, an online consultant, where they're going to pay money to talk to a human being on the other end who need a relationship with to get the service, because again, the main categories we have are the health, okay, health, wealth, and then relationships. All of these are still relationship driven. Right? I got to talk to you about my health. I got to talk to you about my wealth. I got to talk to you about my marriage problems if you're having marriage problems, or like my personal life problems. All of this has to do with the big old word of trust. We have to have trust for us to spend money online. And the only way you're going to develop trust right now is through content. Okay. And content is really just free value, right? Free value. And if you guys are watching this, you're like, Matt, you have the worst handwriting. I know. Okay. I know. It still should be engaging because I'm drawing as I'm talking. So hopefully that's more engaging than just me talking to you. But yeah, content is free value that helps us build trust. And if we can build trust, we can then, it's getting worse. We can then, build a relationship with somebody to where they want to invest with us. Okay. So again, start with content. My typical, script for this or prescription for this would be 3 to 5 times a week, short form, 1 time a week, long form. And again, just make this for your ideal clients. All right, boom, next step. All right, guys, step 4. What we're gonna do now that we're posting content, we've got a skill, we've got a done for you offer. We're very high touch one-on-one. We have to learn the skill of how to set calls, okay? Setting calls is what we do in the DMs typically, right? Setting calls, this can be DMs, this could be SMS, and honestly, this could be just talking to people in public. Right? Just talking to people, because the script that we use is going to be the pretty much exact same thing. Okay, we're going to go through this together on this video right now. To set calls, the whole goal here, right? The goal is to talk to somebody, I'm going to input, it could be a stranger or a friend. The friend's going to be a little bit different, right? Talk to a stranger and then show we can help. We can help. And then invite to a call. Okay, invite to a call to give advice, right? Give advice plus see if you can help. Okay, man, I need a lesson. It's when you try to write fast is when it looks sloppy, right? I don't want to. I know a lot of you guys are watching this on 2x speed, but I don't want to go super slow to where you're like, dude, this is so boring. When you write the word down already, so that's why I go fast. That's why it looks like crap. Okay, all right. So invite to call to see if we can do help. All right. So typically the framework that you're going to follow to set calls is going to be something like this. Okay. First off, you're just going to build rapport. Okay. Build rapport. Right. And often this is just connecting with them. Right. Connecting with them. Okay. Now, for instance, like if someone follows you, right, and you serve golfers, and then automatically be like, hey, thanks for the follow. I see you're a golfer too, right? How long have you been golfing for? Or how long have you been a member of this country club? The closer you can make this to personalized, like if you know them, like I said, how long have you been a member of this country club? I go there. Oh, how long have you been a member of this gym? I've seen you there. That is going to get a way higher response rate than how long you've been golfing for if it's just copy, paste, send. So if you can personalize it more and have a connection to that personalization, you will get a way higher response rate. All right. So if somebody follows us, like this is kind of I'm walking this through as if someone follows you, because if somebody is watching your content, they follow you, you should reach out to them, welcome them and say, hey, thanks for the follow. And then from there, set a call if they need it. If not, cool. Just help them out, point them in the right direction. Okay. Setting calls. Again, this is all DMs, SMS, talk. We're talking to a stranger, showing and help and inviting to call. Now, before I dive anymore, I'm going to write this and probably delete it here in a second. But the goal, right? The goal, and this is like the goal for, I'm going to say goal for mindset, okay? For your mindset going into this is I want to help, okay? I want to help. Because if you go into this with I want to sell, it's going to feel a lot worse. Okay, especially when you're getting started. Now, with time, you might actually transition to this mindset and you're happy with this mindset. But when you're first getting started, this is uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable to talk to strangers, to say, hey, I've got something that can help you. But we don't know if you can help yet. But what I do know is I can determine if I can help you or if I have somebody in my network who can help you. So we want to make sure we're coming from this frame of I want to help. And how can I help? We're going to ask questions to determine, can I help or someone else help? All right. So I want to preface that before we kind of continue on here, because I know this can kind of be uncomfortable for a lot of people when you first get started. After you do it for a couple months, it'll go away, I promise, but you do have to get those experience, send those messages, mess up a couple times for this to go well. All right. So set calls, we're going to build rapport, connect with them. Anytime you can do something personal, great, right? Step 2 is going to be determine their goals. Okay. What this is going to look like is just figuring out what they're working on, right? So if this was a golfer, hey, you got any tournaments you're training for? Nice. How's the body holding up, right? We're trying to ask some questions. We don't always have to go directly, nice, what are your goals? Like you don't always have to say that. Sometimes that can feel salesy, right? But we want to ask questions that will open up the same answer as if I said, hey, what are your goals, right? So for me, I could, if I'm doing more business coaching, consulting, if someone follows like, hey, thanks for the follow. It looks like you're a coach. Are you just getting started or have you been doing this for a while? Oh, I've been doing this for a while. Nice, man. Like what are you currently working on? What projects are you working on? What excites you about the business? All right. I could say something like that. And they could be like, oh, I'm trying to learn how to run ads. Or, right now I'm not in a stage of growth at all. But it doesn't matter. But we're trying to just open up this conversation here for them to feel comfortable enough to share what is it that they're working on, right? What is their goal? Determine goals. I could even change this to problems, right? Or just, what they're working on, right? We're going to do that. What are you working on? They'll tell you. Gotcha. Nice. Thanks for sharing, And right after that, we're going to try to determine what they're doing to get this. So it's like, what have you tried, right? Really, what have you tried? Or it could be you're doing now. And we want to get some context on this because if your service is too similar to what they've tried in the past and it failed, then we have to make a bigger gap and kind of sell why we're different. Or if they haven't tried your thing, that's going to appear as a new opportunity for them. So if like you help golfers get out of back pain, let's say that, you started off, How long you been a member of this country club? Oh, I've been doing this. I've been at the country club for about 6 months now. Oh, so you're relatively new. Are you training for any tournaments? Any tournaments or anything? Nope, I just do it for fun. Nice. Is the body holding up pretty well for you? Or you have any aches and pains that prevent you from going more often? And then they say, yeah, my lower back's been bothering me for a while. And then be like, okay, what have you tried doing so far? Or like, what are you doing now to rehab that? And then they could list off the things that they've tried, right? So they, tried X, Y, Z, right? And then once we determine what they've tried, awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. And number 4, this is going to be a very abbreviated version of this script, is really just determining, like, do they want help? You want advice? Want some advice? Okay. Want some advice / help? Now, I've got longer videos on this training on this channel already that go way more into detail as a 7-step script. But still, this is kind of the main points, right? Build rapport, determine their goals, determine what they've tried, what they're doing now, where they're getting stuck, right? And then determine if they want help, okay? If you know somebody that's like more warm of a lead, you probably could only ask like 3 or 4 questions and get them onto a call. If they're longer, I'm gonna highly encourage you guys to watch a video up here that's gonna go over a longer DM sales script process, okay? And then if they want help, yes, I would love some help and some advice. Awesome. Offer a call, okay? Offer a call. Now, this setting stage, right, which is step number 4, is so important because this is what's going to allow us to book calls so we can sign more clients. If you're running ads, if you're posting content, still to this day, setting is the number 1 skill and the number 1 way that we book calls to sign clients. So I'm a huge fan of learning this skill because you have to learn it first before you program a booking bot or before you hire a setter to do this for you. You've got to learn this skill. All right. So we've got to learn how to do this consistently and predictably. And honestly, like, you should be doing this until you're booking 1 to 2 calls per day, okay? Because then you're gonna start having to take those calls and then you're gonna need somebody to keep booking them for you, okay? All right, so coming down to step number 5. This is a fun video so far. So now that we've done all of that, step 5 is we need to learn how to sell, okay? Need to learn how to sell. And I'm putting the step 5, sometimes I'll reorganize these things just a bit, but you're gonna be getting a lot of opportunities. If you're booking 1 to 2 calls per day here, you're gonna start getting opportunities to sell, and this is gonna be to strangers. Okay. And this is a skill that requires lots of reps. If we talk to 10 people on the phone, can we sign up 30 to 40% of those for our high paying coaching offer, right? That done for you offer. Well, that's what we want to do. Okay. This requires reps. It requires skill. And again, I'll have more videos linked throughout this on how to do this specifically. I don't want to cover this step into too much detail, but the biggest thing here is how do we show that we can help? Show we can help, right? And a lot of this is done through active listening and being direct plus clear, okay? Direct and clear. And when we're on these calls, we're looking for reasons why they wouldn't sign up right now, okay? Again, I'm not gonna have a longer video on this, but this is step 5. I'm not gonna go into this in too much more detail because there's more videos on this channel for that, but we've gotta learn how to sell to strangers, all right? So again, I'll link another video to that to do that. Now, at this stage, right? Now we are in this, I would say 20K-ish range, 20K range, okay? You can do this all just by having a done for you offer. But now I want to start transitioning this. And these are going to be some bonus steps in here of what we're going to do to really solidify this 20K range here, okay? So what we're going to do now that we've learned how to sell, set, and post content, do all the things, is we need to now change from a done for you offer to a done with you offer, or if you're doing coaching, group coaching, okay? Could be group coaching. Now, if you're doing health and fitness coaching, this may not apply to you as much because most of the time, if you are programming for people, the done for you of health and fitness would be like Zoom calls or like live in-person stuff. The done with you offer would still be programming, right? You're still going to give the exercise plan, the nutrition plan, and give that over, but you're not going to be taking weekly calls with them. You might take a call once a month, but most of the communication will be done via messages back and forth. All right. But what I'm trying to get at here is now that we're doing this, we're selling, we're setting calls every day. We now have to change to a done with you or a group program because we now need a scalable offer. Okay. We will need a scalable offer that we can sell. If you sold 10 to 20 clients a month, would it break? And if the answer is yes, it's not scalable, right? We want something that we can keep signing new people up every single month on, okay? And this is also what's going to allow you to eventually hire more, they're called CSMs, community support managers, or coaches, under you. Okay. And if you decide that you want to keep it one-on-one, that's okay, but you're still going to need to be able to build a better process, right? You need to build a SOP, standard operating procedure, or process to take new clients through the exact same process that you would do if they were working with you one-on-one, right? So take new clients to the desired result, okay? So during this stage, after you've learned this, I actually like doing it in this order if possible, because the next stage you're gonna learn is putting the fuel on the fire. But I really like to start transitioning into a more scalable approach, because we don't want to, which we're gonna start doing in a second, we don't ever wanna stop advertising, right? We don't wanna stop ads. We don't wanna stop them because we can't fulfill. Did I spell that wrong? You know what I mean. All right. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to have really solid systems in place to where, man, if we do get a post that goes viral, or we do run an ad that just crushes it, we don't have to turn them off or turn them down because we don't have a scalable offer. Okay. So this is a critical step that you can be replaced, and you have to overcome that mindset to think that you can't be replaced. You can be replaced. And you just need really good systems and processes to do this, right? So examples of this are going to be onboarding. Right? Onboarding. What does that look like? Yeah, right? Do you have a call with them? What do you talk about on that call, right? What is if you're giving a program away, or if you're giving advice away, what is the standardized operating procedure for each program, right? Each program, or even scenarios, okay? So for us in our business, we do business coaching, consulting. We have 3 funnels we'll put people through. All right. We have 3 different funnels. We've got 3. I'm going to keep it simple. We've got a follower funnel, all right, which is like boosted posts. We have a DM ads, right? We have DM ads, and then we have conversion ads. Okay. That's going to be your traditional opt-in, right? So those are the 3 main like ad strategies we have, right? And then we also have some organic launches. Okay. Launches. Okay. We've got actually 3 of those, 1, 2, and 3. I don't need to go into too much detail, but we need to triage people out. So when they onboard, we then needed to assign right strategy. The only way that we can do that is if we have clear guidelines, right? Clear guidelines are, let's say number of clients, amount of time, money they can invest in ads, etc. Right? So based on all these things, or even like experience, years in business, we're going to assign a different strategy. They might get the 3rd launch strategy, and then they might get the DM strategy, right? Or someone else who's brand new is going to probably get 1 and 1. So you need a really solid process for, okay, this person needs this and this based off of some sort of SOP for the program and scenarios. And also, a part of this for sure is going to be skill development and just knowing what person should do what. But how do you, as the business owner, train your team to know these things? Okay. You have to start thinking about that, and then building out, here's how we do these things. Here's how we do these things, right? Honestly, to get started, I would just do a Loom video and then keep these in Google Docs. And then over time, you can use a more robust tool like Airtable. That's what we use. Okay. So start thinking about this. And then the final step into all of this here is going to be my favorite step of all. This is probably step 7. We've gone beyond 5 steps, is ads. Okay. Ads. And then I'm also going to put plus setter. Let's put them all in here together. Setter/closer. Okay. This is really where we scale. All right. So everything up to this point is perfect, right? It's perfect. We have a skill, right? We have a done for you offer. We're posting content, right? Long form and short form. We are to build trust so people want to work with us. We learn how to set calls, DMs, talk, SMS. We learn how to sell, right? I didn't talk too much on this, but we need to learn how to sell. Also, sales isn't necessarily my thing. I like marketing, so that's why I'm skipping sales. But I do have some videos on here for it. And then we need to repackage our offer. So this is technically step 6, repackage our offer. And then step 7 is going to be scaling. When we get to this section here, most of you guys, again, you could probably already have 20K a month before you get to this, but we do see a lot of people that get stuck around 5 to 10K here. They've got all the things above. They're ready for a scalable offer, but they haven't necessarily made a scalable offer because they don't have enough leads. So again, this step 6 and 7 could flip flop, but again, I don't want you to have to stop running ads and stop marketing because you don't have space. So I put scalable offer first, but they could be flip flopped here. Right. So here's where you do ads, right? And all we're doing with ads is just amplifying our organic message, right? Most of the ad strategies that I run, unless they're like a very unique offer, are going to still be to some sort of free value, okay? free value, right? This could be a follower. This could be a DM for like a freebie or a resource or something like that. And then we do run some ads that are direct offers. Okay. Direct offers would be like, click this link to learn more about how I can help you XYZ. Only time we'll do this for like health and fitness and stuff is if if they have a really strong USP, so a unique selling proposition or a unique avatar, or they have a huge brand. So like big following. Other than that, like we haven't seen it work as well. Okay, so USP would be like something that's unique. They have a unique mechanism that actually gets people different results. Avatar being like, we have one client who's a pickleball player or works with pickleball players. We've got another client who works with women who are post-bariatric surgery. So very specific. We have one that's an ultra marathon runner. So again, these have smaller pools of people, busy dads, high achieving professionals. All of that is really crowded and competitive. So we have to build more trust with those people, where the direct offer ones, we have something that's different in the marketplace that we can advertise directly. Okay. So all we're doing here again with these ads is just amplifying messages. And, we want to get anywhere from $5 to $20 leads. Okay. And this is for like B to C. So this is like health and fitness, people that are just consumers, right? And then if we're doing B to B, we're looking at anywhere from 15 to, honestly, it could be $50 per lead. We're typically around $25 to $30 a lead. And then from here, of course, we want these people to book calls. We're looking at $100 to $200 cost per call. And then B2B, we're looking at anywhere from $200, honestly, it could be upwards of $500 per call. All right. So that's kind of what we're doing there. We're getting new leads in every day. And with these leads, we are setting them, right? Which is what we talked about in step 4 was setting leads. We're going to talk to all these leads. Sometimes we'll even call these leads, right? And that's why I put in here, we're going to run ads. We need to hire a setter or closer who can take these leads and book them into calls, right? And there's again, this could be a person, and then it could also be a bot, right? Some of the bots that we typically use, CloseBot, if we do have a booking software that we want to use, or like a setter, a booking bot. This plugs into Go High Level, right? And then it also can do follow-ups. So there'll be some more trainings on this channel about this in the future. But if it's a setting person, you're looking at giving them about 5% of the ticket price, or you can pay them hourly for $15 an hour, right? 15 to 20 bucks an hour plus $50 a close. That's my preferred method of payment versus the 5%, because sometimes you'll have slow months and you want somebody who's just excited to show up, be consistent every day. So I personally like this one more than this model, but I know a lot of people do this model. And sometimes if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of volume, you'll actually see this be 10%. And that's not going to last very long. It could help you get to your first, 50K maybe, but then you're going to want to transition this long-term into 5% if you're going to hire a closer, right? And then the other option is CloseBot. Again, this is a booking bot that goes into your DMs, text messages that will book calls for you. And then that's going to be, it's pretty cheap. It's like $100 to $200 a month plus maybe like 2 cents per message, right? So it's going to be a lot cheaper, but again, you've got to manage this, where like this, if you train someone, you can just kind of set it and forget it. And still, you're still going to look over their numbers and stuff like this. But if you trust this person, you don't have to worry about the bot messing up, right? And then once you're doing this and you're booking a bunch of calls, you really want to be taking calls. This is way beyond 20K. You want to be taking calls until you're doing like 50K a month plus, then hire a closer. Okay. Closer, you're going to give about 10% of cash collected to enroll more clients. And that's pretty much all you're going to need to do there, right? Like there's definitely a lot more we can go into, the closer, show rates, etc., how to manage them, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. But this is really the big steps of growing a business, right? And it's not that hard. It just takes a lot of time, practice, and understanding of what to do, right? So we learn a skill, right? We do done for you first. We start posting content. We learn how to set our own calls. We learn how to sell on our own calls. Then we make a productized offer. And then finally, we scale it with setters, closers, and run more ads to the business. That is the entire model. And then as you get to this stage, you guys saw my pen fell off my hands. As we get to this stage here, we just hire more closers and maybe hire more setters and spend more on ads. But that's it, right? That plan alone can get you to 100K a month plus in your online coaching business. All right. So that's what I got here for today. If you guys like this video, smash the subscribe button, give me a like, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, guys.